the next instalment of my Christmas reads that have influenced me as an author. Hi, I'm Emily Tellwright, author and publisher at Castle Sefton Press, and today I'm talking about this book, Miraculous Mysteries, edited by Martin Edwards in the British Library Crime Classics series. Now, I love a book of short stories at Christmas. It's a bit like the literary equivalent of a box of chocolates, and I also love British Library Crime Classics. So I was going to love this book. And it's a book of locked room mysteries, which I particularly like. It's a lot of fun. So I highly recommend this book. It was a lot of fun. But I'm just going to talk about a couple of the authors in there who you probably have heard of. There's a story in this book called The Haunted Policeman by Dorothy L. Sayers that features Lord Peter Wimsey. And it's I'm talking about now about what's offensive in terms of language and attitudes from the past. So in this story, one of the characters, the haunted policeman in fact, does use very racist and offensive language. But it's quite clear, I think, from the story that Lord Peter Wimsey, who is generally the mouthpiece of the author, does not endorse that or approve of it. And the character using that is represented really as being an idiot. And he's only listening to him because he needs the information that this character has to impart. So, yes, it's offensive, but I don't think the author is endorsing that. In fact, rather showing it up as ignorance. And it is sadly an accurate reflection of how people like this policeman may well have spoken at the time. So I don't think that is particularly offensive on the part of Dorothy L. Sayers for the time she was writing. And it's important that we know that we remember just how bad things were and how people could speak and behave, to see how far we've come and how much further we have to go in terms of attitudes to our fellow human beings. Now, contrast that with there's another story in here by Marjorie Allingham. It's the very last story in the book, and it's called The Villa Marie Celeste. It's a wonderful little story. Really, Marjorie Allingham at her absolute best. Very lightly sketched. I mean, a few lines of an ink and brush or charcoal if you're an artist. Full of humour and characters and a whimsical little mystery. It is really the best of Marjorie Allingham. But she is a writer who I think is very problematic. Police at the Funeral springs to mind, particularly offensive for its racist attitudes and language. And The Fashion in Shrouds also has some problematic language around rape and attitudes to women and sex. And I think these are much more offensive because, especially in Police at the Funeral, the attitudes towards race, the really offensive attitudes, are clearly endorsed by the author, by the main characters whom the author kind of respects. And I think that is much, much more problematic because that is not just showing us how they were. You get the feeling that Marjorie Allingham approved and liked these attitudes. So I just wanted to contrast those two stories from the past, because it's so easy to say, oh, you know, anything with any racist language, we shouldn't have it. Well, I don't think that's true, because we need to remember how things really were. But when the author is approving of that and promoting that viewpoint, then that is much more problematic. Having said that, I still really enjoyed this totally non-racist story by Marjorie Allingham because she was a very, very talented writer. Food for thought there. See you again soon.